So welcome back. Last video I just finished priming the outside of the hull. I had shown you a little bit about how I did that. I'd also stripped most of the paint off the Teak swim platform. I finished doing that. Since then, I guess that was the hardest part that was left, was getting the paint out of the gaps between the boards. I ended up using a combination of a file and sandpaper, and it worked fairly well. Got it all cleaned up, and then treated it with a few layers of teak oil, probably 5 or 6 coats. The first one soaked well overnight, and then the next few coats were the next day. At the same time, as I was redoing the Teak swim platform, I also refinished the Teak rails that go up on the deck on the bow of the boat. So I got those looking good. Then I turned my attention to the boat itself, and first of all I decided to reseal the tops of the rubber rails. Some previous owner had sealed them up with silicone, and silicone just doesn't work for that kind of purpose. It's the wrong stuff to use. So I scraped it all out and used some 3M 5200 sealant. It's a marine sealant. It's rated for underwater use, and it really works, but it's a permanent sealant. It's really hard to get off. So if you're going to use it, make sure you actually want it there. So then I turned my attention to the bow of the boat, the outside of the boat. Went up there and removed some stainless steel brackets that I think had been for holding an anchor or something. Anyway, I didn't have it, so I took those off, plugged the holes, plugged up any other extra little holes from old mounting brackets that I wasn't using anymore. And then I also reattached those Teak rails, removed the old air horn that didn't work anyway. I have a new one for it. I'm not installing it yet, but I've tested it. It's nice and loud. Looks like it'll be a good horn for it. Found it online. Then I turned my attention to the inside of the boat and fabricated and installed a step to go from the cockpit up to the cabin. I haven't fiberglassed it in, but otherwise it's installed. It has a removable lid in the top. Inside that step is where I will put a bilge pump for the forward bilge, and it will also get a shower sump in there. The shower sump is a self-contained container that the water from the shower, from the floor drain in the head, will drain into that, and then the pump will pump it out through a stainless through hull. So the step is in, still needs to be glassed in, but so that's some progress in that regard. Then I had these water and waste tanks sitting around. I bought them online last year. They've been sitting around getting them away for a long time. Figured I better start installing those. Figured out a location for those and started creating a plywood box to contain them. The one that's closer to the center line of the boat will be the water tank. The other one will be the waste tank. I'm going to use the existing water inlets and waste pump outs on the boat, as well as the vents for both of those. I'll just have to reroute new lines to those. So I got a good start on that. What else? Oh yeah, I started on the locating the seacock for the water supply for the toilet. So the seacock has a flange that's going to bolt down, and then the through hull goes through and screws into the seacock. So I got a piece of plywood and cleaned off a section of the fiberglass hull where it's going to go, and bonded that plywood to the hull, the inside of the hull, with some of that thickened fiberglass, or the thickened polyester resin, thickened with Cabosil and some chop strand fiberglass for strength. So that it gives me that plywood to bolt the flange to for extra strength, so that the seacock is not being reinforced or held in only by the through hull or the fiberglass skin of the boat. You know, last thing I want is a big hole knocked in the boat because the through hull breaks off. So the next thing left to do would be to paint the outside of the hull. It'll probably get a couple of coats of blue paint. And once I'm done that, then I can start installing the stainless through hulls and other hardware that goes through the hull of the boat. But for now, I think this brings you up to speed on how far I've gotten with the thing, and talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.